The Seattle Mariners have a massive problem. Let's talk about it. So, some Seattle Mariners flaws are definitely coming out these past few series against the Guardians, as well as the Marlins and the start of the Tampa Bay Rays series. This offense is having massive problems trying to figure it out, and especially striking out and just scoring runs in general. So I want to talk about a tweet that I posted the other day that got a little bit of backlash, or disagreements, I should say, from certain people, and I wanted to go a little bit into more detail on what I was referring to. So this was a tweet that I posted 3 days ago. It said, the Seattle Mariners are now 4-23 in games this season when they score 2 runs or less. Agree to disagree, but this offense isn't sustainable long term. They are 40-11 in games when they score 3+ runs. Simple fix, add major offensive pieces as soon as possible. A lot of people were saying this is the most obvious thing ever, but in theory that wasn't what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about their record per se when scoring 2 runs or less. What I was talking about is how many times they have scored 2 runs or less compared to other teams that are also competing for playoff spots. For example, even a team like the San Francisco Giants, who are a few games below 500, have only scored less than 2 runs 18 times, while the Seattle Mariners have done it 27 times. And the list goes on and on. The Phillies have only done it 15 times. The Dodgers have only done it 19 times. The Guardians have only done it 15 times. The Orioles have only done it 17 times. So my point is that they have done it so many times. 27 times is so many times to score less than 2 runs. I believe when I posted this stat, that was about 33% of their games played. Maybe a little bit less, but that is still a lot of games to score 2 runs or less in. And I do still believe my point that this offense is not sustainable long term. It is really hard to be this inconsistent at the plate and really expect to win or have a major outcome, because if you just happen to get the wrong side of the stick in a playoff series, you can get swept very, very easily with this inconsistent offense. Now, I did also want to go into a few player statistics that are playing a huge role in how bad this offense has been this season, as well as some team stats. So, for example, I want to talk about 4 guys that are obviously expected to make a huge impact on this team, and that is with Cal, JP, Julio, and Mitch Garver. We signed Mitch Garver to come in and be nothing but an offensive weapon for us, and obviously they have moved him back behind the dish a little bit to hopefully get him out of that slump. But guys like Julio, JP, and Cal have really just been not cutting it so far this season. League average WRC plus is 100, as some of you may know. Julio is at a 92 WRC plus, Garver is at a 94 WRC plus, Cal Raleigh is at a 94 WRC plus, and JP Crawford is at a 96 WRC plus. So these 4 guys that are known as the leaders on this team and the guys that could take us to the promised land are really just struggling so far up until this point. All 4 of them have been below average players, which is really just sad to say in general, but it is the truth. This season we got rid of guys like Teo, Eugenio Suarez, as well as JK due to their high strikeout rates, but as of right now, Cal Raleigh and Julio are ranked 12th and 13th in terms of the most strikeouts so far this season from offensive players. While Teoscar Hernandez is above them in terms of more strikeouts, Gino is actually below both of them, and he has struggled so far up until this point this season. Now, I'm not saying we should have kept those guys. I mean, Teoscar is having a fantastic year for sure, but I'm just saying that our players that we need to be stars and really be standouts on this team are struggling. I mean, just to point out some more league average statistics, they are first in K percentage, which has been consistent all year. They've been up there for most of this season. In terms of batting average, they are second worst in the league. The Chicago White Sox are the only team worse than them. And they also are the 7th lowest in slugging, which actually makes no sense for a team that is 10th in home runs this season, because that is all they rely on in terms of scoring runs, is a lot of the long ball. And the main standout point in terms of the slugging is Julio's slugging has been down tremendously this year. He still only has 7 home runs. While on the bright side, his batting average has been up all year. I don't think he's really dropped below 250 at all for the most part, but his slugging is way too down. We didn't pay him to be a high batting average guy. We paid him to be a slugging powerhouse. Mixed with still a decent batting average, we still would like to see him hit 280, but focusing on just batting average and just singles isn't really what we want Julio to do. Even up until this last game where Cal Raleigh hit the home run against the Rays, he was hitting below 200, which is, I know he doesn't hit for high average, but his power isn't even really there. He has 13 home runs now, which is good, but still not Cal Raleigh level good. And hitting below 200 really is just not going to help this offense's cause. So we knew this offense was going to be inconsistent, but it's really just showing when they are losing some of these games how just really, really inconsistent it can be, especially with the hot start they got to June and the way they are struggling now. On top of that, I do unfortunately think it is time to move on from Mitch Haniger. I don't really think he's cutting it as a corner outfielder on a day-to-day basis. He started off the season well, but he really hasn't done much since. This is not new news. We knew the Seattle Mariners were going to have to add some offensive pieces at the deadline, but it really is just showing a lot more these past few series on how desperately they need to find someone who's consistent on the offensive side. So I just wanted to clear up what my tweet was referring to, and I feel like it would be good to show you guys some offensive statistics from the Mariners so far up until this point. But please let me know what you guys do think about this, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.